Welcome back to another episode of Community Capital. My name is Rob Johnson. We have a great show for you today. Joining me in studio is CJ Nwabuike. He is an entrepreneur here in Livingston County and also a founder of a local nonprofit. CJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you much. Thank you.
I'm excited to talk to you, man. That we just got done with a pre-show conversation that, I know we probably recorded it, but we're going to go through it again here now.
Right.
But man, I want to just kind of turn it over to you for a minute and just give me a high level overview of, obviously you have a business here in Livingston County.
Correct.
So walk me through the entrepreneurial aspect of what you do and then also just a high level overview of the nonprofit.
Thank you. First off, I would like to thank you guys for having me here on the show. It's a great honor to be here. I appreciate that. Well, I'm for sure an entrepreneur. I'm the founder of iPrecari Fingerprinting. We're also vendors to the state police. We collect fingerprints for licenses, employment, immigration, and pretty much background checks. We've been doing this for about 3 years now, and great experience. We collect fingerprints for teachers, nurses, and law enforcement. Not just that, we also do what we call apostille. So with the apostille, it's peculiar with those that are looking to go abroad for exchange program. You have to do stuff like that to get certified. And we also do notary services. So, yeah.
So what made you jump into that field? Because that seems like a super big niche.
It is. It is a really big niche. You'll be surprised. I started out as a mobile notary. So I would go up to hospice places, go to hospitals, go to people's homes and notarize documents. And while I was doing that, I figured out as a notary that you can do multiple other things. You can be a signing agent. You can be a claim inspector for insurance companies. You can be a fingerprints technician. And what stood out to me was the fingerprinting part of it. And I started digging deep and doing my research and found out that I can be a fingerprint vendor. And that was how I started the application and did all the necessary due diligence and training. And here I am.
So how many of these fingerprint collection companies are in the county?
Just me.
Just you.
Other than the Livingston County Sheriff.
So what'd they do before you? Struggle?
Well, people would have to travel out of the county to get some of the fingerprint needs that they have to get.
Okay.
And that's part of the reason why we started out in Livingston County, to cater for those residents that live in this county that don't have to travel out to other counties to get their fingerprints taken. We cater for health professionals, accounts professionals, and a lot of times when you go to the sheriff department, they do not offer those services because you got to think about it. The sheriff department is basically dealing with criminal issues, So when you talk about the civil part of it, well, you can come to the private vendor to take care of your fingerprint needs.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. Well, very good. So let's talk about Malachi's house.
Yeah.
So at a high level, what is the mission for Malachi's house?
Our mission is really to solve the root cause of heterotaxis syndrome, give hope to families that are struggling through this health crisis. Part of our goal, which we already have been pursuing, is starting out this fund at the University of Michigan. We did have a walk just last May, and May 4th is a designated day by the state of Michigan for Heterotaxia Awareness Day. And so Malachi House of Hope chose that day for a walk to create an awareness to the community, the public, let them know that, hey, there's a syndrome that's causing a serious havoc in our family's life, in our kids' life. And that walk was successful. We had over 80 people there. We raised over $20,000. And as promised, we started a $10,000 gift fund for heterotaxy research. And we're looking forward to see how we can really solve this root cause.
So for listeners that might not be familiar with heterotaxy syndrome, kind of walk me through what it is.
I'll use a layman term. It's a heterotaxy is a situation where your organs are flip-flop. Where for Malachi, his heart was in a weird spot. Some kids have their lungs down by their belly,
below their
just all
diaphragm,
over the place. It's not in the right diaphragm. So heterotaxy is different for every kid. Some kids might have their hearts in the center or side. Some kids might have some issues with their lungs or kidneys. So it varies for every kid.
Yeah. And then the name of the nonprofit, where does that originate?
So the name Malachi House of Hope started out as from our son Malachi. Malachi was born with this rare condition, and we had a little chat earlier today. Malachi was born in Grand Rapids, Helen Davis Hospital, and his first month of birth, he wouldn't make it because he had a surgery that didn't go well, and this surgery was supposed to actually fix the syndrome. It was an open heart surgery on a month-old child. Didn't go well. It was during COVID 2020. We had to move out of Michigan to Chicago, Lawrence Children's Hospital. We thought it was going to be a week or a month trip for care. Ended up being there for 6 months to a year. That whole experience opened our eyes to what other parents go through as far as caring for their kids. And a lot of times people can have great jobs, great insurance, great everything, but when it comes to health issues, it doesn't matter if you have all that, And we understood that there's a need, and that need was Malachi House of Hope.
Yeah, because with this particular genetic condition, when you have a year-long stint in a hospital, you can have the best job in the world.
Yeah, I know.
And it still is financially taxing.
Yeah.
And that's what we were talking about a little bit earlier is, people that have had, good incomes, good jobs, good insurance, they have to usually relocate to a hospital for 6 months to a year to be with their child. And it's extremely burdensome from a financial perspective.
Yes.
So how long has the nonprofit been operational?
That's a great question. We are very new. In fact, we're barely a year old. We started out last year, August, and we've been hitting the ground running since then because we know this is needed. We know there's a need for it. Yeah. We've had over 10 families helped since we started. We've had a great impact, like I said, community impact with the walk. We're looking forward to more great things coming up. This walk is annual, so next year we're still going to have the walk again. We're expecting that we'll be having more community residents involved in it. Like I said, I know the inaugural one can be a little bit, first, right? People are still looking at it from windows, and we're hoping that we have to get more people. We get to have more people in the second annual walk.
Yeah. And I will say, starting in August, already helping 10 families. That's pretty much one family a month.
Yes, I know.
And that's pretty incredible for the first year as a nonprofit.
Yeah, and the needs are different. We've had a family from Sings Fall reached out through the hospital because a lot of our beneficiaries comes through the University of Michigan Mott's Children's Hospital. And so this family reached out. They needed transport. To come all the way from Sings Fall to the hospital. They had all their accommodation and everything all taken care of, but they didn't have the transport well. Malachi House of Hope was able to get them, they said they wanted a bus fare. So it was the father, mother, and child. So we were able to get them bus fare to and fro. We had another family that needed a place for about a week. The hospital had already helped them with 5 days, but they needed one more week, since the care that they were here for was going to be extended for a few days. We were able to help them with 10 nights really. And the unique thing about what we do is we're very frugal with our funding. We do not have a physical building that takes all the funding or donations from us. We operate virtually. In fact, part of our strategic plan is to have a facility. We slowly working towards that. But currently, we have partnerships with extended stays, hotels. These are those that will help, that helps us accommodate our beneficiaries when they need places to stay. And on and on and on. The list keeps going.
What's been the most surprising thing for you since you've started the nonprofit?
The most surprising is just knowing that, you can be in the better spot today, and tomorrow, you're no longer there. Yeah. It amazes me how the slope of the graph can be so high and it just drops. And it's, I think is a moment of call to action for every one of us, that it doesn't matter where we at today. We got to remember that we should live a impactful life. You can have it all today. What are you thinking about doing for the others that don't have it tomorrow? I think we should be able to share love, spread love, and I think that's going to make our community a much better, greater community.
Yeah, absolutely. So, since August, has there been anything that has been, an unintended consequence or something where you're like, man, I didn't really expect that to happen, as you've been going along?
We've had, and I don't know if this would be something I should publicly say, but I don't have to mention names, right?
We can cut it.
We've had, instances where a lady came to us for help, needed help for a child, but the same lady had a GoFundMe account with thousands of funds raised. And that's the thing, like, every one of us has to do our due diligence. Like, if I didn't do my due diligence of finding out about her, even though she came through the hospital, just digging deep a little bit more to see what's going on. Like, why would you raise thousands of dollars and still try to come collect money from a nonprofit? So those are the things
that's
as nonprofit, even though you're looking out to help people, you still gotta take that time to ensure that this fund is going to the rightful person.
100%. And I think that's a great thing to highlight, because there's people that are, scamming on GoFundMe.
Of course.
It's wild. And they'll build a really sympathetic story.
Yeah. This lady has raised more funds than we've raised. And I'm like, why would you, it doesn't make any.
Right. And that's what's interesting is, and I imagine that with, how good AI is getting, at least tricking average people that may not be in that media, like they can spin a really compelling story that never happened.
Put it up there, and make images up. They can make pictures up. It's and that can be the side effect of it.
For sure.
But I think we can also look into mitigating stuff like that.
I think your point on due diligence makes complete sense. You got to look into all those things. So if somebody wanted to receive support from Malachi's House, what is that process like?
Oh, it's pretty easy. We've got a form that you've got to fill out. You fill this form out. In this form, it details your information, and also details what disease or what issue is going on, what health issue, put it that way. In many cases, you would also have to put, if you have a caseworker you're working with at the hospital, you have to put that in there. And also pass it to your caseworker to sign off. So it's not just going to be you filling out the form thing and submitting it back. Even though you fill that form out, you still have to pass it to your caseworker. And your caseworker has to sign and date it, and then we go through the whole forms, ensure that everything is well filled out, and then the board meets to decide, on if they will be qualified for help.
Sure.
Like we just mentioned, it's not everybody that asks for it that is really, qualified to get it.
Well, I think that's an interesting. That is a really interesting side of the nonprofit world, where there is a lot of people that try and manipulate and take advantage. And it's absolutely, there's a need and people need help, but and it can be deterring from some people sometimes, where they're like, man, I don't want to do this with all this fraud. It kind of pushes good people out of that market.
And I think, with my business side, it helps me a lot to understand how to navigate, those kind of situations.
Yeah, absolutely. So if someone's listening right now and they want to get involved, they want to help with Malachi's house, how should they do that?
Well, it's pretty easy, www.malachishouseofhope.org. That's the website, www.malachishouseofhope.org. If you go on the website, there are various ways you can support. You can donate, you can volunteer, you can, I was speaking to Adam earlier today. I said we're working on incorporating some mental health pamphlets for parents, because when the doctor is breaking the news to the parents and say, hey, your child or your baby is having serious health or heart problems, that can be heartbreaking. A lot of parents sometimes can't take that.
For sure.
So my spouse designed a pamphlet that's going to help with that. This pamphlet is going to take care of the mental health side. This pamphlet is going to help this parent navigate that whole situation. And these are the things that we did in real life that we put in that pamphlet to help other parents. Yeah. So we're working on something like that to help the mental health side of it, because it's severe mental health damage. I was just talking to Adam a few minutes ago. I just told you about the family from UP that lost their baby. Since that situation happened, she's not been able to communicate with us, and we understand that. We understand that she's hurting. We understand that she's sober. She's feeling sad, and that's the thing. That's again tells us the need of this.
Because it goes just beyond the stay and the transportation. There's a long-term mental health. Absolutely. So it's great that you guys are leading people down the path of what you've been through and what you had to do as you navigated that. Because it's been 6 years. You said Malachi's 6 now?
Yes, Malachi's 6 now. Yeah, he turned 6 last month.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah. And you had to, and when he was born, you were telling me it was COVID. So you had to go from Grand Rapids to Chicago. Yes. And what you thought was going to be a week turned out into a year.
Yes,
that's crazy.
Yes, it was a very, that whole experience was, oh my God, it was stressful. I recall I had to do rideshare to keep family running. You know, it was that tough. When you didn't plan on staying in a place for that long, especially, and that's the reason why we started this nonprofit. Like I said, we had a family come from UP. They didn't have a place to stay. They didn't even have the funding for a place to pay for. But we were able to step in and help there. Yeah. We had a family from Philly that needed a flight ticket. You can imagine, we were able to help them with that. When we were going through this, we didn't get any help like that. And we knew that a lot of parents, pride is a big thing too. Some parents don't want to ask. Some people don't want to, bring the shoulders down. But ultimately, we know that these needs are there. And that's why we're working directly with Child Stewart Moss Children's Hospital, because they're the one that see these families firsthand and send them over.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing that you've had. Well, you've taken your perspective of what you've had to go through with your son, and you can help people that are on that similar path. Yes. I think that's a powerful thing that you're doing.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, here's what we'll make sure that all of the information for both Malachi's house and iPrecari is in the show notes for today. So if someone wants to go and donate or learn more, volunteer, they certainly we'll have all the links in the show notes to do that.
Nice. And if you want to know iPrecari, so people be like, what does that mean? It means prayer. Precari is another word for prayer.
Really?
Yeah, precari is a Latin word for prayer. And so I said, you know what? I'm going to tweak it up. Let's add I to it. So I pray.
I love that. That is fantastic. What a great name.
Yeah.
That's a great name. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, it's certainly been a pleasure getting to know you and learning more about the business and the nonprofit. And we certainly appreciate all you do for our community here.
Thank you much. Appreciate coming here and having to spend time with you guys this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of Community Capital. If you want to learn more about the nonprofit and support Malachi's House, you can certainly do that and find out more information in the show notes. Apart from that, we'll catch you next week with a new episode. Take care.